Welcome back to Andertons TV. This is another little episode of Tales from the Pedal Cabinet for you.
Hello.
A little series of videos about pedals.
Yeah.
From our pedal cabinet, funnily enough. So we do these videos, there's loads already that we've shot, and this is kind of when, like every few weeks, we just sort of go, oh my gosh, there's so many pedals coming in, it's just like a full pedal I can't handle it.
Oh my god.
And then we grab them. So this week's episode has the JHS 3 Series Screamer. I wonder what that could be. SolidGoldFX Commodore Overdrive. The Great Eastern Effects Company small speaker Overdrive.
Yeah.
As used most recently by Mr. Christopher Buck.
Yeah. And our own Ben Smith as well.
Really?
Yes, he used one, yeah.
More solid gold over here, but now we're going super funk. And then finally, a reissue of a reissue of a reissue, I think, in the new, the not so new, but new T-Rex Replica.
And, Lee, before they do anything, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you want to watch any of these videos, hit the timestamps so you can jump ahead in case you're...
Yeah, maybe you're not interested in... You're only interested in this one. Hit the timestamps.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, right. Tube Screamers. Has there been a more copied pedal ever?
Sorry, what? Sorry, everyone paying attention.
Yes, because obviously Josh from JHS, who is a lovely chap, and what he doesn't know about pedals isn't worth knowing.
No.
He decided that what the world needed was a Series 3 Tube Screamer, which is an American-made, pretty affordable.
Yeah, $99 in it.
Yeah,
and it's not green, Lee.
And it's not green.
There's no green on it. But
it's not going to sound right.
Yeah, but you can color green yourself, can't you?
So let's go. It has two modes, plus and minus mode. We're in the downward one. Okay, well let's clean sound.
Sounds like a Tube Screamer.
It does. Take away the bass, put a bit more mid-range in there, a little bit of overdrive. Credit where credit's due. What I do like very much about this pedal is where unity sort of volume is. So, you know, you're so used to sort of having to turn the volume up to like 3 o'clock just for it to be the same. That's not the case here, look. I would say unity's about there. Very usable, like that. So let's just go through some gain selections and some tone selections. And having just taken 2.5 hours to film the previous video on the TC Infinite Freeze Sustainy thing.
That was an infinite video.
It is rather refreshing to spend 3 minutes going, that's what the pedal does. I think we should.
Let's do it quickly.
Of course, what the Tube Screamer is often used for is to run into the front of a very high gain amplifier already and tighten it all up. And we're not doing that in this. We're using it just with full Stevie Ray Vaughan mode for the Tube Screamer.
There must be someone who does that somewhere on the YouTube channel somewhere.
You would think so. Ooh.
Now, Lee, here, why would you buy that over a Tube Screamer Mini for 69 quid, though?
Why would you buy any Tube Screamer clone over any other Tube Screamer clone? I mean, I think we can get it to sound like a Tube Screamer a little bit. Can I get my whole? I can do that. I'm not sure. I mean, people just love the Tube Screamer. You know what? I remember back in the early days of me at Andertons, so I'm talking, probably in the
30 years ago?
Yeah, early 18th century. No, back in the sort of 90s, we used to get lots of guitar players coming through that would do clinics. We still get guitar players coming through doing clinics. But I mean, we would have people like Paul Gilbert, and we had Vinnie Moore. I want to say people like Richie Kotzen. I don't know if we ever did, but I know these guys were on the circuit. They were all these like pro guitar players who would do sort of, guitar clinics for brands and stuff.
Now it's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah. And back in the day, that was what they would all just have a Tube Screamer in their gig bag. And it would all because I don't really know what amp I'm going to get given when I get there. So I'm just going to use my Tube Screamer on the floor and I know what'll get me a sort of a sound. And it's funny, isn't it, now? It's almost like people go, well, I have a Kemper for that now.
It's like, you don't have a Tube Screamer now because it's like a Tube Screamer won't make every amp sound good.
But back in the day,
it doesn't make anything sound good. Sorry,
but they kind of did though.
Can I just rephrase that? It doesn't make anything sound good. It makes things. It sounds a certain way.
Yes.
But
this was, this was in the days before, guitar players having 27 distortion pedals on their pedal boards and all that kind of stuff. So
Chris
anyway,
Buck, we're looking at you.
We're looking at you, Chris Buck. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tube Screamer. Sorry, that is not the Tube Screamer. That is the JHS Series 3 Screamer.
Yeah. And actually, this is a little bit, somebody uses those two together that we also know, don't we? Who starts with John and ends in Mayer, but
What, this and this?
No, but it's a similar thing, isn't
I
it?
see.
Because, explain to me what that one is.
From one mahusively ripped off pedal design to another enormously copied, tweaked, whatever. So the SolidGoldFX Commodore Overdrive is their take on the Blues Breaker.
It's very popular.
I kind of feel, I'm going to be a bit controversial now. Does it just feel like manufacturers are just looking for any pedal now from the 80s to just reissue?
But there's those two, isn't there? What else? The next three: Klon, Tube Screamer, and the Blues Breaker.
But the weird thing was,
nobody goes, oh, maybe I'll just do my own thing. Apart from the Dane is its own kind of thing. It's not a copy of any of that. It's not. And neither is this, I believe. But
I just, I'm old enough to remember when the Marshall Blues Breaker pedals came out. Now, bearing in mind, of course, the Blues, the Blues Breaker, that kind of JTM 45 amp that became nicknamed the sort of Blues Breaker. I don't really think, when Marshall released the Blues Breaker pedal, that it was necessarily terribly reminiscent of that sort of sound.
Most people threw them away 15 years ago.
I'm not even sure that it was that humongously popular back in the day. But absolutely, in the last 5 years or so, it's like, no, Blues Breaker, it's a thing.
Whose fault is that, you think?
Ours, probably, or, people like us who just need to sell pedals to, make a living. But who knows? Right.
I mean, players. I meant players, anyway. I'm not taking any blame for anything, Lee. Take it off again, please, so we can hear.
Now, the Blues Breaker pedal, particularly the original ones, were notoriously not gainy until you got the drive sort of, all the way up. But here we go. I do, you got to be honest with you. I think half of me now is going 50% of whether a pedal's going to be popular or not is how it sounds, and 50% is how it looks.
It looks cool.
And it does look cool.
It looks cool.
Anyway.
it?
I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
What was the what was it called? Black the one
Snouse,
we need to
black box.
Snouse black box. We need to revisit that because that came out just before it all became
You know,
really
you're
popular,
just right. You are so right. That was the first one that sort of did that sort of nod to the Bluesbreaker thing, wasn't it?
And we sold tons of them, didn't we?
We did sell a lot of
Mick
them.
and Dan loved that pedal as well. So we need to. I've got one somewhere.
What is a lot of fun as well is
a lot of fun. I mean, putting his finger up your.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. But more so than that is mix and matching different kind of drives and seeing. I almost think now that's where there's more interesting new drive sounds coming out now from guitar players mixing and matching different pedals than there are by manufacturers bringing out new pedals.
Yeah, and also which way you could put them. You know, you can put that in front of that, and then the other one in front of that,
Yeah.
and then into that, and if you put one into that, the other.
So what we've got in here is volume, tone, contour, and drive. Contour appears to just be a big sort of mid boost type thing going in, so we can give you a quick demo of Controversially, I'm going to say I prefer the sound of the Bluesbreaker thing to the Tube Screamer thing.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree.
And
It's
that's
much
not
more
anything against the JHS one. That's just Tube Screamers in general
Yeah.
are not my favourite drive sound on their own. I think I like them to use to go into something that's a bit driven already.
And especially when you're doing live gigs, I feel like they are better to push your solo sound out than they are if you're sitting noodling like we are.
You're not wrong, because taking bass away in just a noodle environment isn't...
just makes it less like...
But in a live environment, in a band environment,
we need
it's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good thing. And we might as well have a little noodle around with the two pedals together. So, oh, yes, sir. Non-guitar players watching this video will be going, they all sound the same. That sounds the same as that, sounds the same as that. And I suppose to a certain extent, they probably do.
Yeah, these two guitars are both single cut with you know, they're exactly the same. I like that tone, just to go... Much more nasal.
But I do think, you know, you get this as your, you know, you have your fat rhythmy or whatever you want to use it sort of sound, and then this is your, like, do a bit for solos.
Clears up nicely. Cleans up nicely.
Nice sounding pedal.
Yeah, lovely. Well done, guys.
Absolutely. So a little bit more expensive than the JHS. This is $199. I believe Solid Gold are a Canadian brand, right? So I'm pretty sure they are. So there we are. Made in Canada.
Yeah. Nice.
Should we move on?
Oh,
the Great Eastern Effects Company,
Yeah.
called the small speaker Overdrive,
Yeah.
and we're
Built by David.
showing this some love. Yes, David Greaves, I think, ex-journalist for various music publications, but obviously with a penchant for electronics. Anyway, this one, yes, is from Cambridge in the UK. So it's the closest one. Yes, absolutely. We both went to university there. Got our first class honours degree in talking rubbish.
Dictionary.
Now,
Strawberry.
this pedal does not, to me, sound like the name of the pedal. So I think of small speaker overdriven amplifiers, like little Fender Champs, like very angry
Yeah.
and kind of like. Ooh.
They're like a little dog, aren't they? Like with
They are just that.
just like a little dog.
But this, to me, this sounds great. Although, in fairness, you know, those types of amplifiers have quite a rich heritage of recording sort of credits. You know, lots of Clapton and Dwayne Allman, people like that would use these. Joe Walsh would use these sort of small, angry sounding amplifiers to record with. But I have to say, the reason we are stocking this yet again, we're name dropping him multiple times in this video, is that the wonderful Welsh wizard Chris Buck uses this pedal, and he showed it to us last time he was here, and we liked it very much.
And Ben, our Ben acoustic guy, also has mentioned it before. So
let's set everything to 12 and see where we start.
There's something there.
Level.
There's definitely something broken there, you know, in a good way. Broken in a good, but you know what I mean? Broken
up. It's got a very transparent fatness to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. I can't put my finger on what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like any other overdrive pedal I've tried.
What comes across as its most pleasant feature so far is how nice the bass end is, and yet that's completely not what you'd associate with a small speaker.
No, but you
overdrive.
get that little break. You get
Let's
that
keep
break
going.
up. That
Let's
little...
keep going. Incredibly responsive, isn't it, to what you're playing. Almost a bit fuzzy in a way, like a...
It's got some harmonies, some frequencies.
Really nice.
I mean, look, just talking rubbish, but there's some like...
If you go back to this, you're hearing like a sound in this range, and somehow when you go to this, you're sort of hearing a sound, not amount of distortion, just like
it's
the
a different
overall
clipping.
sound.
It's just
interesting.
It's very...
I like that very much.
Yeah, it's very...
I like that very much.
Hairy? It's like hairy. Not hairy.
Harry McClary, the children's book about a little dog.
Oh, but absolutely. From Derry. But that's like... What is cocaine? See, that just sounds like it's in a tin can, right? Tube Screamer.
It does what it
does what it says on the can.
I don't understand why the Tube Screamer just became as famous as it did. Of all the kind of drive circuits, it's probably my least favorite.
I would agree. I mean,
in isolation.
In isolation, yeah. So go back to that one, yeah. I really like that.
That.
You know, no, that one. I think it's something that I haven't heard and experienced before. I know it sounds weird, but it's because it's an overdrive pedal. But there's something there.
Yeah.
It almost sounds more authentic. I mean, I don't know anything about overdrive, but it's still got that little sort of.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Well, look, I wouldn't let the name of this put you off. I think a lot of people will see that sort of small speaker overdrive and sort of go, why would you want to sound like that? You know, scroll past. But
why?
That sounds good.
I like it.
That sounds good.
I think that's very good.
Hey, well, that's enough overdrive for one video.
Yeah, at least
I
for
think
5
we
minutes.
should get super funky.
Super
So
funky.
we're going back to Canada now to try out the envelope. Did you say envelope or envelope?
Envelope?
Envelope. Which is the posh way to say it? Is it envelope? Is that posh? Envelope's posh.
Envelope,
I'll say it. It's welcome to the envelope bifilter.
Envelope bifilter.
You will almost certainly have heard envelope filters being used by funk players and this sound as well. Yeah, what's the in the last 20 years, the super famous one will be the Electroharmonics.
Yeah.
But there are many others. Anyway, let's have a little look at the SolidGoldFX.
That's not really that sound, though, is it? That's an automatic one. That's not an end. That's. Yeah, that's the.
So what you're hearing on the envelope filter is a sense that it's obviously like an EQ filter, not, you know, it's similar kind of sounding to like a wah style effect as you move it. But what's now triggering the effect to come in is the way in which Pete attacks the note. Yeah. That's adjustable on most of these types of filter pedals. So yeah, the more he hits it hard, the more it sort of gives you that sort of bright spike in the tone.
Is it or is it or I mean, I don't know what kind of how I attack it, you know.
Okay. I've set everything at 12 o'clock. We better try and see what each of these knobbalages do. Depth, frequency, sensitivity.
What do you say, depth?
Feeling very sensitive, Dave. Don't. That's my favourite. My favourite.
You set everything at 12 o'clock there, Lee?
Set everything at 12 o'clock. Okay. Let's just see what happens if we start fiddling with not.
Oh, that's got wow. It's almost like a yo-yo, like a wow, yo-yo. It seems like somebody's talking to me.
It's got like a fuzz, drivey thing in it, doesn't it?
Oh, that's also in the front of the amps, you know.
Is it though? Because if I... You think it's like the filter going like, whap, it's just making the amps.
Yeah, it's just making the amps.
Whap. Oh, I like that. It's got that old, almost like that old James Brown kind of...
yeah, get up.
The direction button's funny because it's on its left mode it's quite a conventional envelope filter, and on its right hand mode it's like instead of the notes starting where you play it and then it's spiking from there, it's like it starts, you play here and it sort of goes whoop.
I think there's like a wave sort of for a minute. I like that. That's super funky.
It's kind of funky, isn't it? I like the sort of Jackie Brown kind of colour scheme as well on it. So
see, I like that. I want a car in those colour combination. You see the...
Do you know in the 1970s almost every British carpet looked like that?
Yeah, all my house was like that when I was...
Should we move on?
Yes. Something more brown.
Did we tell you how much these were? This was about £200. I don't even know. This is probably the same. Let's have a little look. So that was 175. 175 pounds of funky goodness.
Funky goodness. Yeah, go on.
So lastly, T-Rex Replica. Probably the most famous T-Rex pedal of all time.
Time. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you're Danish.
Danish.
So you probably know the people. I mean, because all Danish people know all.
They all know each other. Yeah, they all drink each other. They all say hello. It's just everybody knows each other. All related as well.
Oh, well, that explains a few
lot.
Things.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Replica, crikey, this has got to be a 25-year-old pedal, maybe more.
It started in '94, didn't they? So I would say it's been around since then. Maybe. Yeah. John Mayer used it.
Well, it's real kind of famous, or it's where it became famous was that it became, and I'm talking again 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The Dave Gilmour had one. David Gilmour, apologies. And it then just became like a go-to pedal for all the kind of the Gilmourish kind of fans.
I had one.
It does that. This is like the latest version of the Replica. I'm surprised they don't call it like version 2 or 3 or whatever cycle we're on now. But anyway, it's just called the Replica.
Yeah.
What you'll notice is it has a vintage and a modern switch, which wasn't on the original one.
Before, wasn't it?
And I'm sure one of these controls used to sort of do its brownness, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it had a high cut before. Well, I should find one. I've got one here somewhere. And it wasn't a stereo in, it wasn't a stereo out. It was a mono, and it had a direct out instead. So you had a clean...
No excuse for getting this confused with an older one then.
No.
Loads of new features.
Yeah.
MIDI on the side, apparently that's always been that.
And tap tempo has always been a thing as well on a delay pedal for,
But what happened with this, again, going back sort of 5 years or so, it was always super annoying that it didn't use a 9-volt power supply.
12 volts.
I forever remember in Andertons, every time customers coming in to try a T-Rex Replica, and you'd have the pedal go, has anyone seen the T-Rex Replica power supply?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's now a normal 9-volt supply, which is great.
Yeah.
I have this new modern switch, which is a conventional digital delay.
Yeah.
Vintage is basically sounds the same as the old
like
ones.
It was.
You've got all these different note divisions.
Yeah.
It's got the various different subdivisions of the echo.
Yeah.
We've got a high cut, an input gain, volume of the echo, overall volume, tempo, and repeat.
Yes.
And we are running this mono in, but 2 outs. So it's not ping pong, but they say it's stereo. But how is something stereo if it's the same coming out of each one?
I don't know how that works, man. That's,
I mean,
you tell me. You've worked in this business longer than me.
Fairness, it's stereo in and stereo out. So if you put something in that's panned, it will pan.
We're running into the mono.
Yes.
I would say I would like the mono on that side, but that's just me. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
that would have been.
I do.
But
hey.
But then again, it matches that one over there, doesn't it? So
this is true.
Yeah. So here is a note.
I didn't even touch anything, and Pete immediately sounded like David Gilmour.
Yeah. This slow.
Oh yes. I'm not even going to get involved. Just leave you. So the vintage, it doesn't have spillover. It's one thing, and I noticed on this one. But the vintage mode, you get that. It's just the way the character of the repeats changes, doesn't it? I love it.
And there's the modern. Slightly brighter.
Character kind of stays the same, just gets quieter, doesn't it? As opposed to.
There's the high cut all the way up. All the way down.
So that all the way down, the treble is being removed faster, isn't it?
Yeah, let's try that on the vintage.
So squidgy.
That's the one you want, isn't it?
Yes. Can I, this input gain here, I almost want to get this idea that you're almost going to drive the pedal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy amounts of repeats, and we're only on, we're not even halfway up on the repeats. So I guess it'll do all of those kind of infinite feedback shoegazery kind of effects.
You can do that with one thing. Just and that's no overdrive.
That's this input gain. I like this a lot.
But also in the vintage mode, it drives more. So if it's all the way up. Hang on, let's go on modern and then see what if
it's hard once it's into that. Once it starts to feedback like that, you can't really hear the guitar over the top. It's got a nice sound, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the way down. The input driver, you need some. So I guess it works like a master and a game.
Preamp and a master.
Yeah, the preamp and a master. So that's much more,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Fabulous.
It just reminds me of how good when I used it with Tom Jones when we played with him, and that was just such a great vintage sounding. I don't know why I took it off my board, but because there's so many other pedals
funny,
coming
isn't
in
it?
and out all the time.
With delay pedals, you know, and we talk
Sounds
about this
great,
phrase
man.
like character delays, and I suppose
Yeah.
that's ultimately what makes all the space echoes and
Yeah.
echoplexes and everything kind of fun. But they nailed that, didn't they, T-Rex?
Yeah.
It's
such a good
It's
delay
got
pedal.
such a pleasant to listen to repeat on it. Anyway, that's also about £200. So actually, apart from this pedal, almost everything on this board's about £200.
Yeah.
You can, of course, purchase all of these things from Andertons Music Company if you want, and we will deliver them to your door. Yes, links are below where you can find out how to do that. I think, as is customary in these pails from the Tebble Babandaba videos, we'll just turn a few on and jam out. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Pete, for your amazing demonstration skills. Thank you, Oz, for your amazingly distracting hairdo.
It's almost matched the drapes.